So, for those of you who are still here or just joined in, I'm going to talk about micronutrients. And, it might be a word that you've heard of, you might know it in detail, but unfortunately, we've got this 50-50% knowledge of everything. And we've got to know why it is essential so that you can actually make sure that you get this in. So, stick on, and I'll just briefly tell you about micronutrients. Okay. Now, we need micronutrients to stay healthy and strong. It's an extremely important part of your body. Now, everyone thinks that, oh, I need exercise, I need to go to the gym. Okay, let me give an example. Now, if you want your car to run good, what do? You put good fuel into it and you service the engine properly. Okay, and you keep taking it down the track and you keep driving it around so that, things are moving. Now, making things move around is like going to the gym. Now, let's say your car runs out of fuel, what's going to happen? The car's not going to move. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, I know there's no fuel in the car, but let me just take it round and round the town. Okay. No lubricants, no fuel. What's going to happen? It's going to wear out, right? So the same thing I keep telling people, healthy and strong starts with the fuel you put in your body. And after you put the fuel in your body, then you can develop it. Okay. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I'll go to the gym, I'll do it on empty stomach. Let me tell you, first get your entire micronutrient, into your system before you think about anything else, especially when it comes to being healthy and strong. So, foods, that the things that you eat, they have macronutrients and they have micronutrients. Okay, so just remember that these are two different things. Okay. Now, the macro or the bigger parts, so the big nutrients are fats, carbohydrates, proteins. Okay. This is something the body generally needs. Okay. And sometimes we have excess of it. Okay. If we have excess carbohydrates, we get finally becomes excess fats. If we have excess of anything, it starts turning into fat. Okay. But anyway, there is a certain requisite you need. You can't have zero of this. Okay. You need to have good fats. Okay. You need to have good carbs. You definitely need your proteins. So your proteins can come from animal sources, which is like dairy products. It can come directly from meat, come from fish, and it can come from green leafy vegetables. So your body needs both the macro and the micronutrients. And you need a significant amount of it every day because some of these things are not stored by the body. And we'll get into more detail about that. So let's talk about some of the micronutrients. Okay, I know the macronutrients, I guess you know a lot about it. You see it every day. Sorry. But what you don't see is the micronutrients. Okay. Now, when it comes to, you know, vitamins, uh, there are water soluble, vitamins, and namely that is vitamin B and vitamin C. Okay. Now, since it is water soluble, the body is going to extract as much as it needs, and what is in excess is going to get passed out in your, when you go to your toilet and do your pee pee. Okay. And so the body can't retain these. Okay. And it will stay as long as it's there in the fluids in your body, and as long as the body needs it and absorbs it. The excess already gets poured out, and there's no way for the body to store it. Okay. So you need to get a lot of this daily. It's got to be in your diet. And in many cases, a lot of people are deficient in vitamin B in lots of parts of the world. And vitamin C, probably not so much because uh, people do tend to have a lot of vitamin C in a lot of their foods. So, but it's always good to be cautious. Sometimes people neglect vitamin C because they say they don't like sour things. Okay. So, don't forget that this gives your body the energy. Okay, the mitochondria needs the vitamin B. And vitamin C is extremely important because not only it's a great antioxidant, It also triggers a lot of digestion. It improves your stomach acids and things like that. And of course, having healthy red blood cells. Now, fat soluble vitamins. Okay. Now it's interesting, right? Yeah. So certain vitamins like A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K can only get into your body through a fat medium. Okay, because it's soluble in that. If you take it with water, probably not going to have that much of an effect unless there is some kind of fat already there in your stomach. So if you're taking any of these supplements, typically you'll find like things like cod liver oil and fish oils, they're already oils and they have vitamin A in it. Okay. And so that gets, it gets away. So if we eat fish also, it's probably okay. So what happens is that the body can store this and use it later. Okay. So it stores it as fatty tissue and in your liver. Okay. Now, it's extremely important for your immune support. Not only that, vitamin D is extremely important for your bone health and a lot of other things, but bone health is one of the most important things. And vitamin K is very essential to defeat calcium, which is floating around in your blood and gets converted into bone, because the calcium that you do consume actually gets there. Okay. So also we live in a modern world. We keep running around. Suddenly we bang our hand, we hit our knee. You know, we need to recover from those tiny injuries that we get. We sometimes ignore it, but we tend to ignore it if we have these fat soluble vitamins because your body heals a lot faster. Okay. Micro minerals is the next one. Okay. Uh, Calcium, magnesium, manganese, sodium, potassium. You've got zinc, copper, all these things.
हाँ,
They're crucial for muscle and bone health. And they
मोज़रेला
also
चीज़.
a role in controlling your blood pressure. Okay, now that's another important thing because a lot of crisis comes in your circulatory system because you may not have the right amount of micro minerals. What a good way to get some of your micro minerals. We'll talk about how to get that. Okay, so don't worry about that. Trace minerals. Okay, of course I said micro minerals, but the kind of there's a very thin line between it because they call it trace minerals because you need very little of it. Manganese, copper, zinc, selenium. These are critical for muscle health, nervous system function. Okay, now nervous system function, can further lead to things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So not having enough of this in your younger days can lead to a bigger problem later in your life. So just remember to have this. And autophagy and other things, which is where your dying cells or your redundant cells get, you know, trashed and they get recycled. Okay, so you need these trace minerals to help the body perform that. So it's called repairing. It's not really repairing damaged cells, but probably recycling them. Okay, and a couple of videos I've done earlier, I talked about how the telomeres of the gene actually depend on these things. Okay, so where do you get this from? Now, foods with trace minerals, a lot of them are there. Oysters, spinach, nuts, cashews, almonds, walnuts, legumes. I think you know what legumes are, so you can get it from. So they have a lot of trace minerals, but you should remember that they have to be grown in very good soil. If the soil is totally depleted, probably not going to get enough of it. So what I suggest doing is because mineralization is extremely important for your bone health and your teeth health. So how do you get this into your system? The other thing you can do is to use Himalayan pink salt. Okay, it has a lot of trace minerals in it. And in fact, something that I've recently adopted is putting a pinch of pink Himalayan salt on my toothpaste. And it tremendously helps remineralize the tooth. Okay. Now, foods with water soluble vitamins, there's all the lemons and the oranges, citrus fruits. We've got bell peppers. We can eat a little bit of it. Just don't forget to check out the seeds from bell peppers. Whole grains, extremely important to have whole foods. Eggs, dark green leafy vegetables. If you do eat non-vegetarian, see if you can get fish into your diet, lean meats. Okay. But any kind of meat, if you're non-vegetarian, the ones that you prefer, have it because there definitely be some sources of water-soluble vitamins in that. Now, especially vitamin B. Okay, a lot of it is available in meats. But if you don't get a chance to eat too much of meats, have foods that have yeast in it, which fermented breads, yogurt, and things like that. They do have a good amount of vitamin B in it. And if you can't get a hold of that, definitely go and find a supplement. Okay. Foods with the fat soluble vitamins, again, the soya beans, the almonds, sweet potato. Now, don't get scared about saying, oh, sweet potato, it's sweet, it's got sugar. Okay, we're not asking you to eat 10 kilos of it, but there's a lot of fiber in it. And uh, the fat soluble vitamins that I spoke about earlier, A, D, E, K, right? Yeah, there I find them in all of that. And of course, milk is kind of a wonder food. Uh, People are even leading towards things like goat milk and other forms of like goat cheese and goat yogurt and things like that. Yeah. Uh, Typically because the goats tend to eat more. They're not probably eating fodder as much as cows. So that's a good thing because they're kind of more naturally bred, and so the world is probably looking at that too. Now, foods with micro minerals or micronutrients. Uh, don't forget to have your bananas. Okay, I know all monkeys don't cannot refuse a banana, so just remember that. Okay, black beans, lentils, those kind of foods that you have, which is the pulses that you have in your food. It's extremely important. Get that into it. And of course, dairy products, eggs are something that are becoming universal now. It's something you need to have in your diet. If you're lactose intolerant, which can be for a lot of people, it's probably the type of milk that you're drinking. Okay. And what you have to do is you'll have to kind of shift to a whole milk and probably boil it. If it's a whole milk, just boil it. And if you have a lactose intolerance, what you do is take a teaspoon at a time, just to build some resistance against that. And finally, you might be able to overcome the lactose intolerance. Unless you've got it genetically, if you've acquired it over time, then it's typically probably the product that you're using. And sometimes there is a particular bacteria in that milk which may not be agreeable to you. And in fact, it's happened to me as well. Okay. And when I've shifted to whole milk, I seem to have not gotten that problem. And if you go to a lot of coffee shops, there is a tendency for that milk which they heat up. We do not know how long it's been in that boiler and how many times it's been reboiled. So there's a chance something can get bad in it, and you'll just blame it as lactose intolerance. Okay. And it's actually probably the milk it's got infected with the bacteria that doesn't agree with you, or you don't have a defense against it. Okay. So I hope you did enjoy this, and I hope you will be a little more conscious about putting the stuff into your food. Is not very difficult. Food is wonderful, and food can be your backup against fighting off and staying healthy all your life. So thank you, and I'm open for comments.